It's been a while.
Been a hot set.
It's been a big minute. Sorry, everyone.
Thanks for being patient with us.
We've got mental health problems.
I've got mental health.
It's been a turbulent few weeks. It's interesting that it came directly following us saying we're going to be posting every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Instant mental breakdown.
But it was Christmas.
And Christmas is hard.
Yeah. January is just even worse, so...
Yeah, I think it's really annoying with us because all of our anniversaries and hard times fall like straight after the other.
Yeah, it's January, February, March.
December as well.
And December.
Straight after the other. So we're nearly out of the woods, except for the biggest kick in the boop that we've had at the moment is that Alicia's birthday falls on Mother's Day. Or should I say Mother's Day falls on Alicia's birthday?
You should say that.
Yeah.
The thing is, honestly, not even shocked or surprised. Because, like, just as I'm getting better and everyone's like, you got your birthday to look forward to? I'm like, yeah, no, I don't. Because that's the worst one for me, which is a bit annoying. So, yeah, I'm feeling a bit downtrodden, I could say. Down in the dumps.
Downtrodden.
Because I'm just thinking, like, I go on social media on my birthday and then it's like, happy birthday, Alicia. And then I click to next story and it's like, ah!
Literally.
And it's going to be like that all day. So if you want to say happy birthday to me, maybe just text me.
Yeah. Perhaps you could do it a day early.
Or we could just pretend, yeah. Or you could just, you know, do me a solid and not post about your mum. But, like, I understand that's quite a big ask. So maybe just, you know, fuck yourselves.
I think that you are going to have to not go on Instagram that day.
Why me? Me again. Ostracised. Weirdo.
Oh, no.
I know. I just want to live my life.
That's really unfortunate for you this year. Why is your mic shaking like that?
Because my leg's shaking.
Stop shaking the mic.
I can't because I've got ADHD.
Instagram on Mother's Day is like jumping into the hell pit.
Yeah.
I fear.
Yeah, being down shit creek without a paddle.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm honestly, if you've got any advice, please send it my way because I don't know what to do.
We're supposed to be given the advice.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it's been a while. It's been a while. I don't know what to do. In the last few months since filming first episode, I've realised I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and that's just us being real.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's been a very interesting month. But I think once Mother's Day is out the way, we should be plain sailing because it's going to be sunny.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be fixed in summer. I always am.
Good for you.
Always fixed.
Fixed. No, yeah, I'm going to be temporarily fixed in summer, but I think that's the thing, like, all we do is wait for summer and we're like, we're going to be happy, and then winter comes again and we just have to, like, survive it. Like, why can't we just, you know, start getting some coping mechanisms so that we could go through winter instead of dreading it every year?
I think that's a very, very good question, and I think we are taking those steps.
What are they?
You started therapy.
Oh, yeah. Round of applause.
I've started therapy.
Oh, yeah. Round of applause.
I've started meditating.
Oh, yeah. Round of applause.
You have...
No one.
You have people.
I've got loads.
You have
loving father.
Exactly.
I've started what?
Talking, like, apologising and talking and rationalising your behaviours.
Apologising. Yeah, I have been. I've been, you know... doing the rounds, basically being like, look, guys, I'm sorry for everything. And you know what? Half of me thinks, yeah, I really am. I am really sorry for everything. And the other half of me thinks, fuck off. I didn't choose to be this way. But what we're not going to do is avoid responsibility. So as much as I didn't choose to be this way, I have a responsibility.
What do you mean by this way?
Fucked in the head. My mics, I'm literally bending over like fucking nobody's business.
Oh, so right, so you're taking responsibility. This is actually really interesting because on one half it's like I've been through some shit and everyone needs to give me like take me with a pinch of salt kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Because I've been through it. But then on the other hand, you have to take responsibility. People ain't got enough salt. But on the other hand, you have to take responsibility, don't you? That's interesting.
Yeah, which is bullshit. It's not. It's really, really the way that life works. And it really is important. And I do love the people around me so much.
That's it.
Crickets. Yeah, that's it.
Listen.
No, thing is, I am responsible, and I know that. And what I'm working on at the moment is accountability. And as much as, fucking thank God, and as much as I do feel like I can't believe that I have to fix myself when the world fucked me out of my control, and that's really hard, I also do realise no one else is going to do it for me, and it is a hard to swallow pill, but something's happened that was out of my control, and I either sit in it for the rest of my life and get swallowed up by sadness, or I take the steps that are really inconvenient, but it's better in the long run.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's so easy to like feel so much resentment for like I'm only fucked up because of what happened to me that was out of my control.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very normal feeling in grief, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only person that can get you through it is yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to find that within yourself, and it's fucking hard.
Yeah. It's just a hard to swallow pill when you realise that like something has happened to you and now you have to be the one to sort it out, even though you didn't choose for it to happen.
That's so true. And that's
like, just really hard.
Yeah.
And that's why I've been avoiding getting professional help for the last 7 years, which I don't recommend. It's not cool.
What, not cool to not have a therapist? It's cool to have a therapist.
It's cool to have a therapist, and it's not weak or,
no.
you know, it's, I put it off for 7 years because I said, well, I'm going to do this on my own. I can do this on my own. I don't need anyone else. I can get through this. Not even on my own, but like without professional help is what I mean by that.
Do you remember actually thinking that?
Yeah.
That's
Actively
mad.
thinking that for years and years and years. And people said, why don't you go to therapy? I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want help. I want to do this on my own.
But was that because you wanted to do it on your own?
I don't know. I don't think I wanted to do it on my own. I think I just was scared of the alternative, but also I wanted to prove to myself really, really deeply that I could get through this on my own.
Interesting.
And I still don't know really why.
I feel like I had a bit of that as well.
But yeah, that's why I've not had therapy, and that's why I still struggle. Like, I've only had one session, and like I struggled to get there because I thought, like, I don't want to do this. Like, I want to do it on my own. I don't want to accept defeat and accept to myself that like I need someone else to step in. But since doing that, and like I had to do that, and I went to therapy, and like I don't feel any different. It's not like in a good way. It's not like everything crashed around me and it's like, oh my God, someone else stepped in and now you're weak and you can't do this on your own and blah, 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 because you're still doing it every day. It's your life.
Yeah.
And you're still doing it on your own-ish.
Yeah, but like so some things like you can't do on your own.
Yeah.
This like grief is bigger than us, and it's bigger than what we know how to deal with. And we've said that a lot. Like asking for help in any way, shape or form in any part of your life, it's not a bad thing.
It's hard. It isn't a bad thing, but it's also hard to not feel the effects of the stigmatism that's around therapy, because, you know, it's hard when the system is against us and we try and get help through, you know, like the NHS and blah, 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 blah. And I know that they are underfunded and would do more if they could, but it's hard when the system is a net with loads of holes in it, and if you get caught in the net, you're really lucky, because a lot of people fall through and have to find their own help.
Yeah.
And that's really hard, because you feel so defeated by the people that are supposed to look after you.
Mm-hmm. We've had that quite a few times with like different parts, haven't we? Like like people at school, like teachers at school, like rushing us to get over it.
Yeah.
And then like therapists have like not been helpful, or like dismissed you, or like it's quite hard to, like, sometimes the help isn't like you go to one thing and you'll feel better. Like that's not realistic. Like
it's not.
That the people that are supposed to look after you can also make you feel worse.
Yeah. And that's what put me off for so long.
But it is worth it when you find the right person. Like your bleep, she's our hero
So far.
She's our fucking She's the goddess of
She's
the
a
north.
Wonder Woman, honestly.
She's lovely.
I think that's hard. That's why I struggled going so much, because my whole grief journey, I've had people saying like, are you not over it yet? Why are you not over it yet? Like, come on, let's stop doing this now. Like, I've had people that I've been in relationships with saying like, you're too much. You have got too much baggage that no one ever is ever going to deal with. No one's ever going to want to deal with you. I've had teachers being like, she needs to come back to school. It's been 3 months now. She needs to come back to school. I've had GPs tell me that I'm too unwell for them to deal with. I've been, let go of the mental health crisis unit in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Like everything that I've tried. Like I missed a phone call and that was it for therapy. I didn't really get any help. It was just like, you missed it, so that's it. And like, for me, the journey of getting help has been so hard that like everything was against me, including myself. I didn't want to do it anyway. So why would I persevere when there's so much telling me not to?
Yeah, that's so true.
So yeah, it's been really hard to, come on here and give other people advice at the moment, which I'm sorry, because I did, sign up for that.
No, I think that's what I love about our community. Like, there's been no pressure. And we've actually had so many messages saying, like, I hope you're okay.
Yeah.
And, like, that's actually insane. Like, it's really, really nice. And we appreciate all of them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think we have to be transparent with you guys and we have to, like, not put pressure on ourselves, because if we want to keep giving you, like, authentically what we are feeling and thinking about grief, we want to give you content that is going to help and you can relate to, but we need to be in the right place for ourselves as well, if that makes sense.
Defo. And I just really appreciate everyone being so patient.
Yeah.
Because I think it's that victim complex kind of like within what I'm saying of like, sorry that I've taken this long, sorry, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. It's a learnt behaviour and I've been conditioned to be sorry and ashamed for taking a while. And that's really shit.
I think that's so true in so many places. Like, I feel like a lot of people can probably relate to that. Like, just always being like, feeling like you're taking too long or you're taking up too much of anyone's time, or like, especially at work, like, it's so ingrained in culture to like, I don't know, in grief culture, I guess. Is that even a thing?
Yeah,
it is, isn't it? Grief culture?
Yeah.
Like, society is so fast that we all are feeling like we need to apologize for like taking up too much time or space in certain situations. But like, isn't that wild? Like, where's the humanity in that? Like, it's so weird that
it is hard,
is higher than people's feelings, but obviously like that is like the world we live in. God, this is depressing today.
It is quite depressing today.
We need to
it feels a bit nuanced. I promise there might be a joke or two in there somewhere, but I'm just being real. If you want to go there,
I don't want to go there.
Capitalism is the reason that is the way that it is.
Yeah, that's
because we live in a capitalist society rather than a humanitarian one.
That's that.
And money is way more important than anyone individually or how they feel. So that's why when we go to work, we feel so shit about calling in sick or saying, I need this break, I can't come in today, I can't do this. And you feel so guilty because it's your mental health telling you that you can't. And you can physically go to the shop and you can physically sometimes leave the house. And then you think, well, I should be at work right now. But if you're too unwell mentally, you're too unwell. And it's okay to say, I can't do this right now. And for you to give yourself the grace that you deserve and the patience that you want from other people.
We've had some really horrible stories about people's employers and stuff. Like, I've spoken to a lot of you about that sort of thing. Like, some of the stories are absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
In the workplace of like,
horrible. They got told by their employer that like someone else has just lost someone and it was their grandparent that they lost and they're back already. So you should be back too, which is just absolutely insane.
But it's insane because the grandparent is an older person that died and the person that they lost was
someone young. Only saying that in the sense that like when you lose someone young, it's as much as losing someone old can be sudden. It's it's just a completely different ballpark than losing someone young because you're grieving their entire life that they've left behind. Whereas when you lose someone that's older, they've lived out the majority of their life and had what they deserved already.
I think that's really important to note that like you can't undermine someone's grief. So like So like grief is grief. I believe that to an extent. And I believe that nobody's grief can necessarily be worse than another person's. I don't think that even comes into it. And I don't think it's a healthy mindset to even have looking at grief.
It's grief
because
Olympics.
everyone's grieving. Everyone's grieving.
Everyone's
grieving. And like, it's not helpful to be like, my grief is worse. Like that will never be helpful. It will just make someone feel worse. But on the same side, same flip of a coin, in the same breath, I think it's a very normal feeling for people that have lost someone when they're young, when they're angry at the world, to feel angry about people who have lost older people, like grandparents or, you know, people, old people, I guess. That's where the anger comes from, because they've lost someone at the start of their life. And although it doesn't change the impact that those people have, like the grandparent was in their life for ages, so that means the impact
is huge.
The loss is huge. The loss is huge, of course. But the person that is grieving someone when they're young, they're like, they feel that theirs is, not everyone, obviously, I've just heard this a lot, like it's a very normal feeling.
Yeah.
When you lose someone when you're young, there's a lot of anger there. Like, it's just like, how is this fair?
Yeah.
And like, it's fury like I've never felt.
Yeah, it's so hard to deal with, and you have nowhere to put that anger.
Yeah.
And
that's
like,
so true.
it just builds up inside of you, and you have nowhere to put the anger that you feel, that you're grieving someone's life. You're grieving the loss that you feel because they're not in your life anymore. But then again, you're also grieving their life.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. And all the
had.
potential that they had and what
Yeah.
they were going to do with their life.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to understand from a perspective of someone that's only lost someone that's in the end of their life, or like, you know, that has lived 80 plus years.
Yeah. In no way is it like different that impacts like people have lived with their grandparents, they were their parents or whatever. Like it's nothing about that. Like the impact everyone feels for grief because of their different grief is valid in any way.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting anger that people that have lost one when they're really young and it's been a shock possess.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever feel that level of rage again.
No, I know.
And I hope I don't. Oh, I mean, fucking
same.
Please, God, please.
If you're out there.
If you're up there, I think they would have stepped in by now, don't you?
Oh, you know. Someone help me.
I will and I shall.
Thank you.
So, that was a very long introduction, but we wanted to give a bit of context onto why we've been a bit MIA.
Yeah.
We've missed it, though.
We have. I've missed talking about it. It's just hard. Yeah. It's just like it's kind of like the feeling that I had before I went to therapy was like, I don't want to do this. Why would I open this can of worms? I'd rather just go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's kind of that same thing.
Talking about it is good.
Talking about it is hard. Yeah. It's really good, but it's really hard and it's really scary. And sometimes you just want to be like, why am I putting myself in this position where I'm uncomfortable and scared? I'd rather just suppress it and not talk about it and feel comfortable. But short-term comfort is not worth the long-term damage that causes.
And that's why therapy is important. Talking about it with people that you love is important. And I just can't believe that we are doing this because we didn't speak about it for 5 years. We said this on the launch. Like, when I say I didn't speak about it for 4 years, I mean it. Like, I did not speak about it for 4 years, probably. And then one day, me and Leisha were sat on the hill and we just started talking about it for the first time together. And now, we were saying the other day when we were in Wales, we were walking down the beach and we were having a normal conversation, and then we so seamlessly drifted into a really heavy grief conversation and then really seamlessly out. And that was mad. Do you remember me saying like, whoa, did you just... Yeah. Like we dropped grief in the conversation so naturally that we didn't have a sudden rush of like heat on our body. Like whenever anyone would say the words mum or ask me anything, like the heat I'd feel from my feet all the way through my face. Like I'd be so embarrassed. It was like, don't ever bring it up. And now we can literally just seamlessly come in and out of conversations about grief together.
And it's normal.
And that is the difference talking about it makes. And like I would never have believed that I would do this ever. But that's what I mean. Like when you start talking about it slowly, but surely, you will be able to have these conversations more open and it won't feel like you're being fucking stabbed.
I know.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Stabbed. That's not good to say. Sorry, anyone.
Trigger warning.
It's too late now.
Oops. Talking about trigger warnings,
Oh,
should we talk about it?
I've been
Those.
triggered to the moon
Max.
and back.
Same.
To the absolute max at the moment. Everything is so fucked up on the telly. Traitors funeral scene.
Fucking hell.
That was
What's the need for that?
outrageous.
What is the need? I feel like a Karen complaining about traitors.
I know.
Honestly, where's the need? Like, we understand the game.
Yeah.
And there's this thing where, like, you murder each other in the night, but what you're doing really is just eliminating another player. Like, there's no murder taking place. Why? Why does it have to be murder, for one? Why can't it just be you eliminate another player in the night? Because that's what you're doing. It's really...
You're such a Karen right now.
I know, I feel it.
Like you're on Facebook Live.
I feel like I'm on Facebook Live so bad.
But
it really, really irked me.
irked me.
Irked me.
The thing that I've been swearing by, someone messaged us with the suggestion of doesthedogdie.com.
What the...
It's changed my
What's
fucking
that?
life.
Oh, is it a trigger thing?
Yes. It's
my
amazing. And
God.
somebody sent me a book once, so I'll read it out in a second. But this website, I was watching Magic Mike the other day,
Why?
Don't know, that's another problem. Put it in.
What are you
I
going
put it
for?
in Does the Dog Die?
Magic Mike? What?
I put it in Does the Dog Die? And it tells you a list of all the triggers that are in it that people have submitted that are triggers, and people vote like yes or no, it won't trigger you, and they give you a description.
That's
I
sick.
speak so fast, I feel like I'm rapping. And it's amazing, and you can choose your own triggers, so you don't have to search it every time, and you don't have to be triggered by that. So
This is not an ad.
No, I wish it was, because I'm so passionate. Like,
I'm poor.
please, I'm poor. Pay me. But no, if you do want to pay me for that, I will talk about it. But it has changed my life. It seriously changed my life. I watched my life.
It seriously changed my life.
I watched EastEnders Christmas special, and I thought that was gonna not be triggering. Like, there's like 10 murders in there, and everyone's like wailing on Christmas, which is so relatable.
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 Yeah.
Oh, I typed it on Google, things without any trigger warnings, and it said Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. And I was like, fuck you.
I'm an adult.
I'm a fucking adult
I'm a
with
fucking
problems.
adult. The thing is, why does it have to be everywhere? There's this term that me and Amy use called grief porn, where like people really don't understand what I mean by that. And
That's not.
It's
We
not
didn't make
what
it
you
up.
may think.
We didn't wake it up.
Promise, it's not getting that bad. Where I'm, it's not grief porn.
You're doing grief porn at the moment.
I'm doing grief porn at the moment. No, what we mean by that is like people that like use grief as like a USP.
But they're not their own grief.
Not their grief. No.
That's
Just
our
like a
USP.
fictitious
That's
grief.
literally what we're doing with this podcast. This grief is our USP.
No, yeah, true. But it's our grief.
Yeah.
Like using someone else's grief as a USP, as a fictitious grief,
Yeah.
is really weird. And like, I
Yeah.
don't think we talk about it enough. How dare you just say
I'm going to profit off someone else's really traumatic
life?
life and experiences. But then it's interesting because it's like, is it because there's such a fine line between people making films about grief for awareness, and this also covers like every other subject as well. Like, it's interesting because people seem to argue that there's a really narrow line between like monetizing off someone else's hardships, but or like they're just raising awareness or educating people. Like, shall we not be using our voices to raise awareness for them? Like that sort of like.
It just
What's it called
it
when it's like
seems-
hero?
Yeah, it is
What's
very
that called?
savior complex.
Savior complex. Yeah.
I appreciate people trying to raise awareness for grief and how to deal with grief. But how is me watching someone lose someone, go through that entire period of hell, all I see is wailing and crying and desperation and pain. How is that helpful other than reminding me that people die? We know that.
Yeah.
We know that people die. That's not something that we need to raise awareness about. We know that people die. What we need to raise awareness about is how you deal with that afterwards.
Yeah. And it's not helpful. To
It's
see
not
people
helpful.
dying. But then it's so dramatized as well. Like, you know what is interesting? I'm like, I'll never watch anything like that now. Like, at all. I don't watch anything that would trigger me. Like,
Yeah.
even searching Magic Mike, like I said before. But, you know, do you remember when Fran died? Do you remember what we watched on telly in my grief period?
Black Mirror.
No, and that, but something way worse than that.
No.
13 Reasons Why.
Fucking hell. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I blocked that one out. That is a whole episode.
I need to talk about 13 Reasons Why for a whole episode.
That's insane.
It's insane.
You were going through
Exactly what I was watching that about.
Yeah.
I was so numb. I think that was it. I was so numb. Like, that didn't trigger me at all. I watched the entire season of 13 Reasons Why in the week after losing my friend. And that's insane to me.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like, because you're so vulnerable, you don't know that that's wrong, and you don't know to turn it off because you can't.
Yeah.
That's where they have the responsibility to trigger warn or say, like, don't fucking make this show if it's going to be that damaging for people that are vulnerable and can't turn it off.
Yeah, surely it does more bad than good.
It's so much worse. And, like, I understand, like, the thing is, the concept of creating a show about suicide and raising awareness about suicide and a show that teaches the family how to cope with that really healthily and how to, you know, even from like a victim perspective, how to like stop that from happening, or like the signs that you can see in someone, or like anything, that's all positive stuff. And that is, when done well, really helpful. But creating a show about a teenage girl that is suicidal and doesn't know what to do with it, and then ends her life, and then all that happens is despair and chaos ensues afterwards.
Yeah.
That is the part that is horrible.
Yeah.
And so pointless, and only makes us feel worse when we kick up a fuss about it.
Yeah.
Because we look like Karens for kicking off.
Also, it's so problematic because, like, exactly what you just said, there wasn't really a resolution like that was helpful.
No,
but
I didn't watch season 2 or 3, so I don't know if that got any better.
To be fair, we only watched season 1 and it was a long time ago. But also, this is obviously trigger warning suicide. I'm going to put it on the thing anyway. But what I'm about to say, when at the end, when she does it and all the despair is happening around her at the end,
it's like ingrained in my head.
it's like. Yeah, so in the scene, she obviously does it, and afterwards everyone's full of regret. And I was reading afterwards that people that are suicidal, if they see that people will regret how they were treated, it's more of a push to do it. So it's like almost encouraging it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everyone was full of regret, and everyone was like, oh my God, she was beautiful, she was this.
And that's all that they
such
wanted
a
in the first
push.
place.
Yeah, it's
that's
so
the thing.
weird.
It's really hard because, like, all suicide at a base level is a cry for help, right? Being suicidal and, you know, self-harm and all of this stuff at base level is a cry for help. It's way more complex than that, but it is. Coming from someone who has experienced it and also has felt it. So I'm like, it's different for everyone. I'm sorry if that offended anyone, but it at base level is a cry for help in my experience.
Well, I think black and white it is.
It is.
Because it's like,
You don't have another choice. You want people to listen. And it's just hard when all we see afterwards is people being like, oh, damn.
should have done this.
Should have done this, should have done this, should have done this. Because people that are struggling are going to see that and be like, oh, all I want is for people to regret things, or care. People to care, and people to look at me.
Yeah, not everyone thinks like this, but this is just like what I read after.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
It does make
about
sense.
certain people.
That,
if
like,
that's what you need. You need
people to
if you don't
care.
have anyone caring about you and you need people to care, seeing that doing something you want to do ends in the way that you wanted it to it's stupid to watch and put on telly.
It is.
And even a trigger warning, I think,
it's not enough.
It's not enough on that
nowhere
shit.
near enough. And like, I think that's the whole thing, is like, it's so complex and there's so many avenues to go down. It really is a huge, huge, huge conversation. But trigger warnings are so complex and like sometimes too superficial. Like, you can't just slap a trigger warning on something and then just trigger the audience and be like, it's fine because we trigger warned it. Like, just think about what you're making and like the reason that you're making it, and like, is there anything in what you're making that's going to help someone, or are you just showing someone their own pain that they have already experienced? And like, we don't need reminding of that.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really annoying as someone that's grieving to just turn on the TV and see it everywhere.
Yeah. You know what is interesting now? I'm being so triggered. Like, I am also looking at the triggers on like shows and stuff. And I've noticed that Sky Movies, I wrote this down. Sky Movies triggers are so general, so it would say like mature themes or something. But Channel 4 has more specific ones, so it'd be like suicide or this or that. But I really just want them to say like, I don't know, parent death. But that's why Dog Day, dog dies, does the dog die is so good, because it tells you specifically what kind of death. There's so many specific ones, like even for phobias, like, is there farting on screen? Yeah. And it's like, that's someone's phobia. It's insane to think about. Like, it's really interesting. But when we were, like, obviously, because I'm looking at trigger warnings for everything now, and it came up, like, PG may need some parental guidance. And I was like, right. I was like, that's even triggering to me, because I don't have any parental guidance. So now I'm even being triggered by the trigger warning that says, go get your parent to help you guide through this film. Because I'm angry. Yeah. Because I don't have one. I've got one. Sorry, Dad. Love you, Dad.
Love you, Dad.
I just realised we haven't been on here since the launch.
Oh, yeah.
That was insane.
That was mad. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. It was amazing. We sold out Feel Good Club in like 14 hours. And I literally have never felt more of a community in my life.
Oh, I know.
It was amazing. Like, people had come from like London and stayed in a hotel, and like people, like, the best part, I loved meeting everyone, but my favourite part was when people said that they were sisters that came.
Same.
And like sisters that listen to the podcast, or sisters this, because so much of this and our experiences with grief is like sisterhood, and it's a whole different world. Yeah. To have a close sister. Yeah, I loved meeting sisters.
It was so cute. And I loved, my favourite part was when people told me that they came on their own and left in groups. Yeah. And that was really nice. I think there was a group of 3. 2 of them knew each other already, and one of them came on their own. And they said, like, I came on my own, but now we're all going to Village together. After the launch, like, they went on a night out together as a 3. And that is just so nice. Like, these people are meeting because we all have a shared understanding that, like, we're going through something horrible, and that the only thing that can get us through it is community. And that's so nice. Like, each and every one person that arrived went through that process and admitted to themselves that, like, what they need is people. Yeah. And that's amazing. So important.
And I think that's why, like, so many people who host like grief community workshops, like shout out Amber with the Grief Gang, she's doing some amazing like community work. That's so important, because I never even noticed or knew that I could have help from a community. Like, I always thought it was weird, like, not weird, but like group therapy. That was the sort of vibe I got from it. Or like going to sit in a room with like everyone's crying their eyes out. It's not that. Like, it was such an uplifting room because everyone understood what everyone was going through. Yeah. So I'd love to do some more of those.
It's so nice. It's like the mutual understanding of like the unspoken understanding as well. Like, there's a bottom line there that no one needs to speak about, but everyone always understands that, like, we know what you're going through, and like I felt things that you have felt, and like that no one else has, and like that's really, really special and important. And like that's what I felt in that room. Was like everyone was like, I felt what you're feeling.
You know what? I've just remembered.
What?
How quickly, after what you just explained about how magical the launch was, like, it was such a room full of like uplifting people, like all understood people. We went across the road straight after to get a pint to celebrate. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I walked in, and there was the worker there, and he had a jester hat on, and obviously I was on top of the world. Like, I was just bouncing around. Like, I was like, love your hat, mate. Just being, you know, excited. And he went, thanks, my mum died in it. And I went, what? Really? Because in my head, I've just been in a room full of like 140 people that all had lost someone, and like we were talking openly about that. And I was like concerned, and I was like, what, really? And he was like, no. And I was like, has your mum died? And he was like, no. And then he went, where have you lot all come from? Because I literally filled the bar with everyone that came to the launch. And I went, we've literally just been across the road at a meetup for people who've lost their parents. And he was like, he like literally went white.
It's actually insane.
And he had a jester hat on.
He jests.
He jests.
The thing is,
it really just pushes you straight back into reality, doesn't it? But thanks everyone for coming to the launch. It was really magical. Nice. And I really actually just pissed myself after he said that, because it was just completely classic that would happen.
Yeah, it's honestly classic, and you know, it just keeps on happening. But the thing is, after the launch, I went into kind of a pit of despair. Nothing you did. Nothing you did.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. But I just kind of felt a bit concerned that I just opened up to an entire room.
And that's very fair.
And it's really hard. And like, I really, really, really loved like the community and the camaraderie in that room. It was really special.
Yeah.
But it was also really overwhelming because like my whole grief life, I have kind of felt that like I've never known anyone that's grieving apart from you. And no one my age has ever grieved around me, really. I've met someone at work that understands and someone at uni. That's 2 people since 16 that I've met that have lost their parents. And like, to be in a room with people that understand what I'm going through was really overwhelming, and it kind of felt fictitious in the way that like I kind of have been told that no one's ever going to understand me. So afterwards I was like, whoa, like suddenly I am a griever, and like this is real and this is my life. And that kind of weighed down on me because that was suppression. Like that suppression that I'd been suppressing the whole time was suddenly not suppression anymore, and it was suddenly real.
I felt that hard.
And it was like, whoa, like now everyone knows your story and you know theirs. And like, you're not just some girl in a room on your own crying about what's happened to you anymore.
That's so true.
You're like,
we like thrust into,
yeah,
like it was like a secret. It was not like, to me it was a secret. Like I literally would pretend she was alive in social settings.
Yeah.
Like it was this horrible secret that I had.
Yeah.
And like the beauty in being able to talk about that now is mad. But yes, it comes with a massive overwhelm.
Yeah.
And a massive like, oh my God, we've just completely transformed from one person to another.
Yeah. And I think that was just hard for me to like adjust to. And like, well, obviously, like naturally, like suddenly I'm not the only one. And like, that's really hard. But now that I've got through the stress of that, of everyone knowing my business, I feel really comforted by the idea that I'm not on my own.
And I think, that's really nice. And I think that's why I love what we're building, because I feel like we really do and can look out for each other without, like, I'm not embarrassed of it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not the podcast. I mean, like, I'm not embarrassed of my grief because it's fucking everyone. That room was full. And it's not even that big.
Yeah. Yeah.
140 people. Like, it's every other person. Everyone will be affected by grief. Everyone. And like, everyone will, if they aren't affected, until they're affected by it, they know someone that's affected by it. Like, it's the most universal feeling ever.
But it's also something that no one talks about.
Yeah, and nobody like knows what to do with it. Like, it's the most widespread thing that affects people.
Yeah.
But nobody knows what to do still.
Exactly. It's literally the only thing. Dying is the only thing that every single person on this planet has in common.
That is
it's
so
the
true.
Only thing.
And being born.
And being born. They're the only 2 things that we all have in common. And like, we haven't figured out a way, A, how to talk about it, or B, what to do with it. Or see how to cope with it. Like, we don't know anything. There's nothing into grief at all. There's no support. Like, there's like 0.0001% of support, which like is valid and it is there and I'm really grateful for. But like, there's no support. Like, there's nothing around. And it's really hard to like stop suppressing my feelings and also deal with the fact that like, okay, I have to do this and there's no support.
I mean, there is support, and I think it's like a privilege if you're able to access it. Obviously, like, therapy is expensive, and like, but I think like from when we were teenagers to now, there's even been so much more. Like,
I know, but like in the like vast majority of like things, like grief is huge, and like,
oh, you mean in comparison?
Yeah, in comparison to like how huge grief is, there's no support.
Yeah, so grief is about this fucking the biggest thing you could ever imagine, and then the amount of support that's available.
It's like tiny.
Yeah.
And that's like if you're privileged enough to access it, and like if you're okay enough to access it. And like it's just shit that like this support system is so flawed, and like it causes people to just like give up.
This is so important to me, like being able to offer people help in that way, and like the communities that people build. It's like everyone, there's so much beauty in like everyone, no one knows what to do, but then we're all like coming together.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows what else to do, so we're all just like finding comfort in people, and I find that's really amazing.
It's so nice.
But yeah, I think that's why as well, like, although there's support in workplaces limited, support in education's limited, like we've all got this far, like we're all doing what we know how, because no one really knows what to do or how to deal with it other than trained therapists. That's why we need to continue to like find comfort in the things that we know how. So like grief meetups or talking to friends, or like everything that you've been doing so far that's already meant you've got to this point. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you obviously do know what you're doing, even on the days where it feels like you don't, and it doesn't feel like you've got this at all, but you actually have it. But you have got it because you've got it under control, because you have for so long. And like, you need to keep doing the bits in each day that you find helpful or you help progresses you a bit. And sometimes you're going to go back, but like you do know what you're doing because you've done it. You're protecting yourself. It's instincts. So
your fight or flight.
Your fight or flight kicks in. So I think we do need to give ourselves credit, all of us.
Yeah.
For what we're doing. Going back to Mother's Day and Alicia's birthday, going to be the best day of the year. We're going to Amsterdam. We're going to be suppressing.
Suppressing.
Smoking. We wanted to give some tips on Mother's Day.
I didn't come prepared with tips.
No, I just thought like...
Give me some.
I need tips. So
Please.
maybe we could think of some. I would say don't go on social media.
Turn your phone off.
Turn your phone off. I would say make a plan with a friend that you know you feel safe with, or a sibling or somebody that you feel won't talk about Mother's Day on that day, or talk about their mum.
Or find someone that will, in a kind and calming way, if that's what you want.
Yeah. Some people do want to be surrounded by family and stuff on that day. So anything that you feel comfortable doing is the right thing to do. And that's in every aspect of grief. Like, people ask how I should spend anniversaries or how should I spend Christmas. Like, there's no set rules for how you should send it. Send it. Spend it. But you just need to make sure that you're doing whatever feels right. And what feels right might be just crying and sitting in it. But I would always say, just in case, if you are someone that likes to go out or leave the house, I would say, if you are someone that likes to leave the house.
I'm personally not.
No, personally not. I would say make a plan with someone that they won't mind if you cancel. So like, I've been like, if I feel up to it, please can we go for a walk on this day? And then you can cancel and they won't be annoyed because they're putting themselves out for you on that day. But that's something like a really good tip that I found. Like, someone that understands that you might cancel on that day, but you have that plan if you need to get out the house. That's a good way.
Yeah. I think if you are in a position where you feel like you don't have anyone around you, like you don't have any family or friends that are free or blah, 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 I think a really good tip that seems silly but helps me to remember, just like remember how powerful like your gut is, and like how like you have instincts that have kept you safe this whole time, and like trust in those. And like, yeah, it gets hard where things get really difficult and like you feel like all your instincts go out the window and you don't know what to do with yourself. That's a different story. But for the most part, you've survived this and it's just another day.
Yeah.
And like, it feels really heavy because all it does is highlights what you don't have. And it really, really is just a day where everyone is like rubbing it in. And like, that's how it feels, is like everyone is just like, look what I have, look what I have, look what you don't have.
Yeah.
But it's not that. That's not what it is.
No, it feels like that. I would also don't go in or near or around any card shops. Supermarkets if you can help it. Get someone else to go in there. I fucking used to be so angry, like fighting my way through these balloon arches of Happy Mother's Day, or just like went to get a fucking pint of milk and now I'm having a panic attack because I saw best mum ever on a mug.
Honestly, no, that happened to me the other day. It happened to me the other day. I went into the shop to get like the essentials and I walked past the cards and it was actually like my friend's birthday and we were trying to find a birthday card for her, and I had to sift through all of these Mother's Day cards and there was literally no birthday cards, and I had to just stand there and look at all the Mother's Day cards and be like, you're the best mum ever, love you so much, can't wait to see you on Mother's Day. And it's like,
isn't it insane that we'll never buy one of them again?
Yep.
Never thought about that. I'm keeping my money, Card Factory. You can't get me now.
Martin's money saving tips. Lose a parent.
That reminds me of the game I wanted to play.
Okay, I welcome games with open arms.
So on my friend's anniversary the other day, me and Alicia were walking around the park and we decided to play a game. I posted it on our story. And it was just like word association, but it was like a lot of people said that they liked it as an idea because it wasn't very it was like a really fun, lighthearted way to talk about and remember someone without actually having to be like talk about them, you know what I mean?
What happened to them.
And what happened to them. It's more just like their character. So
Yeah.
game is, we'll say a word each, and it has to be associated with mum. Just anything that you think of when you think of the word mum. I feel like we could go on for ages, so we're gonna do it for 1 minute 30. I'll put a timer on.
Okay.
As fast as you can, okay? Go, you start.
OCD.
Oh yeah. ITV,
Ironing.
roast potatoes,
Soaps.
sewing kit,
Mopping. This is fucked.
vodka orange.
Oh
no,
my God.
vodka Coke.
B&H Blues. She was a really good mum.
Sainsbury's.
Ice lollies.
Sorry, trigger warning for some people that have phobia sick. Sick bucket, actually.
Oh yeah. Roast chicken.
Roast chicken. Oven mitts.
5 spice pork steaks.
Is music on in the car? That's not one.
Lamar.
Tissues.
Tissue boxes.
Yeah.
On the side of the bed. Hot water bottles.
Yes. Sunshine.
Baths. Mixing bath water.
John Paul Gaultier perfume.
Yep. The blue and black stripy perfume, which I don't know the name of.
Lighters.
Lighters.
This is going on for too long.
What's that game they used to play in the garage?
I've blocked it so far down.
So far down.
Suppressed it. It's too far. You know what I was going to say? Tombstone.
She doesn't have one of those because we're too poor. Oh.
I hate this game. That was a horrible game.
Yeah, that was stupid.
No, it's a lovely game
Your
when you're
face in the middle of that when I asked you for that game, you were.
No.
It was like you honestly.
No, just play the game with caution. You know, it might bring up some things you don't want to say, but for the most part, if you're feeling good, you can play the game.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a technique I did when I had counselling when I was 16. They made me write out my entire train of thought for 2 minutes, and it really helped.
That's an interesting technique. I'd be scared to do that.
It's really scary because it's like, they were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's insane.
But also it's really good because it showed them how my brain flicked between good and bad all the time, constantly.
Very
It
quickly.
highlights really good things for you. And that then just highlighted like how many things that are painful and how many things are not painful. Like thinking about like her as like someone that cooked and cleaned and like looked after me is like a really nice thing. But like remembering her as a person, like what games she used to play.
Yeah, that
was hard.
Yeah.
That was painful.
It's interesting, isn't it, how different things affect you in different ways.
Oh, I've just remembered this thing that happened to me when I was at work the other day.
Oh no, I'm scared.
And so I work in hospitality. Womp womp. Tiny violin. No, I work in hospitality and it's really
It's a lovely place.
It's a really, really lovely place. But with hospitality comes with cleaning toilets, which is the big womp womp. And I was cleaning a toilet with my hands and I was scrubbing human poo off of this toilet and I look up and I see in pencil, I miss mum written on the wall. And I was thinking, like, am I tripping balls right now? Or like
Tripping balls.
yeah, or like who is that? Is that my inner conscience? Like, where did that come from?
That's mad.
Who wrote that? Why is it in my eye line of like scrubbing the toilet? Was it a child? Who's that small? Were they sat on the toilet and wrote it when they were sat on the toilet? Were they vomiting over the toilet and wrote it on the wall? Who knows? But it was really, really horrible.
It's just like classic kick and running down.
Honestly.
You're like that. Oh, oh, sorry.
Pretty much.
But guys,
Godspeed. Good luck.
Godspeed. Good luck on Mother's Day. You always have a safe place in our DMs, on our page, and there are helplines and things, and for you if you need urgent support. So please don't think you're on your own. But my best advice would be just to treat it as much as you can as another day. If you want to sit in it for a bit, please do that. But also just make sure you have like an escape plan.
Yeah.
Or somebody that knows it's going to be a hard day for you on the other side of the phone, or just something around you that you know can be your backup plan if you are struggling. But we'll be blazing up in Amsterdam. Wish we could take you all with us. But we are sending you so much strength.
So much strength.
So much strength on Mother's Day and all the days, because you've got yourself through every day so far. So what's another day?
Yeah.
You can do it.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye. Bye.